Hey, everybody. Good morning. Yay. One more time. Good morning. After that amazing keynote with all of those hot takes, I expect you to be very peppy and lively. But they were, shout out to Zags for the really great keynote. Yeah. So this is going to be really interactive. I only have a couple of slides. My name's Dawn Wages. I'm the outgoing chair of the Python Software Foundation. And really cool thing is that I was introduced. So I've been the chair for the last 2 years. I've been on the board for the last 3, and I've been in the Python community for just under a decade, starting at DjangoCon 2016 in Philly. And I was actually brought in or mentored or really good friended in the Python Software Foundation with Jeff Triplett, who is a Django Knot hanging out here all the time, who has great takes. So I'm just here to, I have 3 things that I want to talk to you about, and then I'll leave the rest for questions, and hopefully there's a little bit of interactivity in this. One, that you can vote in this election. It's going on right now, and if you are already a member of the Python Software Foundation, you should have email giving you the OPA vote option to vote. Second, if you want to vote next year, right? So you get to see how the sausage gets made, see the voting process, learn a bit about it, and then you get to vote in 2027 election. Then you can become a member. There are 2 ways to become a member. Either you have more than 5 hours per month on average on our system investing in the community. I know that's a lot of people in this audience. Or you can pay to be a member, and there is a new option to have a sliding scale membership. So that could also include a lot of people in this audience. And then the last 2 things, the PSF has paused our grant program right now. This is for this upcoming year. It's come to a shock to a lot of people, but we have very often conversations with the community about the output that we're putting out into the community, which is a lot. Please check out our yearly brochure about the things that our impact report that we put out every year. And then we also have an upcoming fundraiser. And these all come in the same breath because they're the way, as much as we are able to bring in from the community, we put out into the community. Year over year, we give about $300,000 out in grants every year. That's one of our main ways that we are interacting with the community and people see our logo show up. But there's a ton of ways that we are investing in the sustainability of the language and the community. Uh, Primarily PyPI is a really good way that people interact with us as well. So the last is questions. This audience probably has a really wide breadth and depth in knowledge in the community. So I just wanted to leave the last maybe 2 or 3 minutes, maybe of my time. I don't know how much I have, but I can spend the rest of it just being extemporaneous and answering any questions. And I have examples of potential questions on the screen. For example, how do you get involved with the PSF? Or how does the language get actually managed? Is the PSF doing it? I am not a CPython contributor. I can say 3 lines about that. How to become a PSF member, other things like that. Where does the money go? Stuff like that. I got 10 minutes? Perfect. I can do the whole 10 minutes with questions, and I can also just talk more about it. Yeah. Oh, yes. What qualifies being a member with just 5 hours? So you don't have to just do code, as Jeff mentioned. You can volunteer in the community. So if you're running your local meetup, if you are contributing to an open source project, if you're contributing to a package, I mean, all of the Django Knots, if you're familiar with the Django Knot Space program, could be eligible for membership just by their contributions to that program. More questions. I think I saw a couple hands over here. There, there's one.
How do I get involved with the PCF?
Yes. So the Python Software Foundation has a lot of different opportunities to get involved. My favorite are working groups. I think they're really important. I have a blog post about that on donwages.info. But you can also, there's also some landing pages on Python Software Foundation python.org, which is the landing page for the language and the foundation. So working groups, there's a bunch of different kinds. There's the Code of Conduct working group. We have, now I'm just thinking one of the ones we just recently voted on, which are no longer, but there are a lot of different, there's uh, PyCon working group. So if you want to get involved with PyCon, that's one of our major events. And then you can also like come up with ways. We're always open to ideas, and we are just constrained by the bandwidth of the efforts involved or the people who want to involve themselves. So, yeah, those are ways. More questions? I saw a hand. I see
Okay.
one here and then one there.
I've got one real
Sure.
quick.
Yeah.
Can you volunteer for DjangoCon and become a Python Software Foundation member?
Yes, you can. It is in the Python ecosystem. Oh, yes, and that applies to Wagtail and other projects as well. So, yeah, I love Wagtail. Yeah.
What would be your pitch for people who might not think like, or what would be the pitch for becoming a PSF member outside of just voting? Well, why should people care?
Yeah. So, great question. So, fantastic question. So there's a lot of things. So if you want to know what we do with the Python Software and Foundation, we have our impact report every year. A lot of that goes into deepening and broadening the experience that people have with Python across the world. Many of it, for example, we have a CPython sprint that's happening, and we make sure that we are able to bring the CPython contributors there in one place, can commune over snacks and talk over code. And these are the things that are advancing your code. So Python 3.14 is coming out in October, and we see a multitude of new features like garbage collection, and we have some performance improvements, things that were remnants of the faster C Python team. And so there's a very interesting and fuzzy layer in between the code and what actually keeps it moving on the tracks all the time. Someone has to manage our trademarks, for example. We have accountants, for example. We have a communications team member. We have fundraising for the PyCon. So all of that, you are able to have visibility and are able to support those activities. And then there is a membership meetings and emails that you can be a part of, all with membership, that keep you abreast of what's going on. This one was first, and yeah, I'll repeat. What's one positive thing that the Django Software Foundation can take from the Python Software Foundation and vice versa? So I have lots of opinions on the things that the PSF can pull from the Django community. I came through and been in Python for about 9 years by way of the Django community, and I think there's already been some historical things that the Django community has definitely given to the PSF. And I don't want to misrepresent the timelines of the people who did it, but there's absolutely things, many of include like diversity, equity, inclusion, and consistency around the way that we support our community. So I would love to lean on a lot more of those. I think that Django is really good at having healthy conversations with the community about feature additions. For example, the keynote we had right here, a lot of these takes, I've seen blog posts and conversations. I see there's triage board for that. And those all require some type of support, some type of infrastructure, some group of people convening, usually supported by a foundation, to chat over best practices and ideas. So I think that we could, as the Python Software Foundation, provide forums that talk about code contribution even more and make it even more accessible, which I appreciate. Vice versa, I am really excited about the investment in work groups that are happening with the Django Software Foundation. There's so much that has gotten done via work groups with the Python Software Foundation. And I think we're currently, with PSF, we're currently in a flux with the value and input and output of work groups, because we are professionalizing our org, so we are hiring a lot more people, and that is absorbing some of the responsibilities that volunteers used to have to do. It provides sustainability, but it does also put up a little bit of a wall for volunteers to understand what's going on. So I gave a suggestion back to the community, but with caveats, because I don't think we're doing it in the best way at all as well. And there's always ebbs and flows and evolutions of a foundation. So it's not always one-to-one and cut and dry. There was a hand here and then one there.
So you mentioned PyCon a moment ago.
Yeah.
So the DSF has DEFNA and the DjangoCon organizers. Can you explain a little bit about the relationship between the DSF and the PyCon organization group?
Yes. So what's the relationship between PyCon and the PSF, and then DEFNA and DjangoCon? So the way that we just kind of naturally evolved, there is a work group inside of the Python Software Foundation. It is covered by the PSF Code of Conduct, and we, through our bylaws, give the responsibility to that work group to organize PyCon. So now there are people who join the work group. They are all on a mailing list, and then we also elect a chair for the PyCon. That's one of the reasons it created that way, and it has to be bylaw related, is because it is one of our main funding sources for the PSF. It always has been. We're working on ways to move away from that, and we are some, but it's in ebbs and flows. But there's a little bit of governance process and work group there. Meanwhile, there is DEFNA, which is a separate foundation within Django community that is managing and runs DjangoCon. It owns its trademark and no, it doesn't own its trademark. Doesn't matter. I don't know all of the details. Talk to the expert on that one. Sorry. But there are machinations and nuances in that work group that support DjangoCon. Okay. I saw there was a hand here and then one here.
One of the things I'm excited about for the DSF is like chatter about potentially getting an executive director.
Oh.
About what the executive director does at DSF.
I love this question. That's so great. Okay, so the question was, what does an executive director do? And maybe in the context of the PSF, because that's where I have the most visibility. I have made friends with other foundation executive directors, so I can talk a little bit in chairs as well. So the relationship between the chair and this ED, one is that there is this parallel track. So this is something that I'm like writing in my offboarding documents and giving to the next chair, is how do you interact with your ED. They are the first and highest full-time staff person for that foundation. They are managing the day-to-day, and they are like of sorts the CEO. The chair is the highest position that represents the community, and so where the board is elected and the chair, most of my job is making sure that we have a level of consensus amongst the group. We really value consensus, and when we have a tumultuous vote, but we all vote in the same way, it means that there was a lot of discussion that happens beforehand, because we are not a quiet bunch. So that's that. And then representing that org, I am now having what I call healthy friction. I say that at work. With the chair, and usually we're really, I love our chair, our board of executive director, Deb Nicholsitz. She's fantastic at what she does. But in the case where there is healthy friction, it is a representative of the community and a representative of the day-to-day work of running a foundation. And then we find a path forward together. And the way that it can represent the DSF, I think there's going to be a lot of conversations on a lot of it is how much you can afford. You have to like build a salary and have a books, and it's really difficult to get to that professionalization approach. But there are tons of open source leaders in the community that I think could shepherd the DSF into its next chapter. It's marking out the responsibilities and figuring out how much you can afford to be able to make it happen. So donate to the DSF. Did I answer your question? Okay, cool. Last one. Okay.
Hello, old friend. Thanks for your service, first and foremost. Could you talk a little bit about how people can get involved at the local level and how the PSF supports local Python meetup groups?
Yay!
I gave you an
Okay.
easy one.
You did. It was a layup. That's great. So when we were running at like kind of normal click, we did give money in to local meetups. That will be on a pause for this upcoming year. However, lots of people, specifically, so I'll have a North American centric answer to this question. There are PUGs, Python user groups. I was ingratiated into the Python community via my Philly PUG, and I recommend. We also give. Meetup.com access to lots of Python user groups around the world. So if you go to meetup.com, it's not my favorite place, but there's also ways to look online. You can find it on meetup.com, and then you can find your local meetup and then show up. Ask questions. Some of the best ways to make sure that your local group is moving at a decent pace is to volunteer to pick up the pizza. If you have something that is really tightly bound in requirements, and then you are able to do it on a cadence, that is a way to get to know what the whole organization looks like and still do your part. And it is important. Someone's got to pick up the pizza. Okay, that's c'est tout. Thank you, everyone. I really appreciate the questions.